organizations is we need to avoid what I'm calling organizational implosion. Organizations are created to serve human need, but if you don't work hard to keep the focus there, they become increasingly about themselves, meaning the organization. This little thing here says, it's all about me, deal with it. I don't know how this strikes you, if you've actually experienced this, but I'll give you what I've seen in nonprofits is you have kind of two choices. There's two forces at work. And one force that if you constantly work at it, you can keep the focus on the client and the mission and the shared values. And if you are a leader in the organization, irrespective of your role, that's your job. To keep that focus constantly on the mission and the client. Because there are forces in the universe at work. I don't know if they're evil or not. They're certainly human. And they have to do with the ego. And they have to do with survival needs. There's a few things that get in the way with a nonprofit. And the first one, this says here, the ego of the founder. How many of you have heard of the founder trap? This is where the organization is all about the ego of the founder, and they never let go. Do you have a sense of that? Because you can have a disaligned organization where things just whatever happens, or you can have an aligned organization. And a lot of times in nonprofits, everything is aligned around the egos of the founder, or the executive director, or the leadership team. The privilege of the board or the exec. It can also be aligned around the dysfunction of employees. This is something I get involved with a lot, where there's one really dysfunctional, willful person who has everybody dancing around them in the organization. They have made it all about them. How many of you experienced that? Yeah. It only takes one, and they can be in any position in the organization if the leadership allows it to happen. Yeah? And then the last one is really nasty, and that is, this says defunding process. How many of you get preoccupied by your funding process? Nobody? I worked with one nonprofit once, and I had the entire management team. We were flow charting their RFP response process. Flow charting their RFP response process. I had 12 senior managers in the room. We had a 20-foot whiteboard, and we spent 3 hours flow charting it. They spent 3 months out of the year responding to RFPs. All of the significant people in the organization, 3 months of the year, just responding to RFPs. So, what I would suggest that you do is think about where the time and energy in your nonprofit goes, and think about, in what ways you've got this sort of this negative influence weighing on you. Because I think what you're doing here is really important. The dialogue that you have here is really important. The crises that we're going through now, hopefully when we look back on them years from now, we'll look back on them as an opportunity to fix some things that really need fixing. And I think the kind of traps that we fall into here are some of those things that really need to be fixed, so that the goodwill and efforts and money that should be spent to help our beneficiaries actually go to that end, instead of this weird, distracting noise that we've got to deal with every